Ever since I can remember, I've been obsessed with learning. Yes, even years ago when I was gaming for 3 to 6 hours a day, I would always carve out time to learn something new. And a lot of it took away from the quality of my schoolwork or job, but somehow I always knew that things would work out. At first, I thought that this thirst for learning was the dreaded shiny object syndrome, the thing that all successful people warn against. But if my bursts of obsession were true shiny object syndrome, I don't think I would be where I am now. The path I've took has led to something that I couldn't even fathom as a teen, and I want to share it with you now, but in a streamlined fashion without the road bumps. So in the course of 10 years, I've obsessed over things like fitness, nutrition, SEO, web design, web development, graphic design, digital art, social media, content writing, marketing and sales, copywriting and funnels, neuroscience, philosophy, spirituality, self-development, and the list goes on, so I am cutting it here, but there is much, much more. And each of these obsessions lasted about 1 to 3 months. And the thing with this is that if I wanted to learn something outside of these obsessions, I wouldn't laser in on one thing and only do that one thing. I don't think that's really possible, because like if I was obsessed with spirituality and let's say a nutrition podcast that I was interested in listening to came across my notifications or something, then I'm going to listen to the nutrition podcast. I'm not just going to ignore my curiosity because I'm so dedicated to something else. And so what is the result of me obsessing over all of these things over the past decade? And it's the one thing that most people think or say it's impossible. And even if they don't literally say it's impossible, they imply that it's impossible, or they tell you not to focus on this one thing. And so the impossible achievement that I'm talking about here is doing what I love for a living. It seems like it's a common trend right now to be like, don't follow your passion, don't do what you love, don't do all of this other shit for the sake of grabbing attention and leading you towards something that eventually leads to doing what you love or being passionate about life. And so it's kind of contradictory. I get where they're coming from, but I think it's silly to write off doing what you love or trying to live a passionate life, because just if you don't do those things, what is the other option? If you want to go all the way to the negative extreme, it's doing what you hate and never living with a shred of passion in your life. And I don't think anyone wants to do that. And I do not think that you have to put those things off until you reach some form of material success. And another thing is that hopping from skill to skill didn't prevent me from making an income at the start. I actually believe that it helped me make more of an income, because if I were starting with one skill and trying to earn from it, there's a cap on how much you can make per skill or with a singular skill. Let's say web design, where it's not impossible, but it's difficult to form a compelling marketing campaign around that, unlike something like copywriting and funnels and a much more holistic skill stack that you can manipulate in a way to deliver direct results and promise direct results. Like, I can get you 100 new leads, or I can make you $10,000 extra a month. With web design alone, it's kind of hard to do that. So throughout this, don't get trapped in thinking that you can't start making some form of an income or even just replace your entire income as you are learning these skill sets and as you are going about learning over the next decade. Because personally, I've talked about this before, you can make money instantly if you know what you're doing. And I recommend that you start building and executing instantly so that you can get real world data to iterate from and learn more in order to improve it and be able to charge more. You aren't going to come out of the gate charging $5,000 to $10,000 for one skill. It just doesn't work like that. You have to start small and you have to follow the progression that life presents. It comes in stages and steps. You go 500, 1,000, higher, and then you eventually productize, and then we've gotten into that in the previous one-person business videos. So skill stacking is greater than being a specialist, which is greater than doing nothing at all because you're afraid of saturation, automation, or any other excuse that leads to distraction. We are in a digital renaissance, and skill stacking a dynamic set of skills that you can apply in the digital landscape allows you to build a creative solution to almost any burning problem on the market. You will reach a point where you can spot a problem in the market and you can be like, I have the skills to create a system for this in order to solve it, and I have the marketing skills to be able to package this up and put it in front of the right people. And then making money is a lot more easier that way. You become in control of your income. So with my experience, I can get better results than most specialist freelancers or agencies because this is metaphorical and abstract, but they know how A will impact B, will impact C, and that's it, right? That's kind of the specialist nature is I'm going to do this in order to get this very specific niche result. But through skill stacking and holistic understanding of the entire digital domain and just niches in general allows me to understand how A impacts B, impacts C, and how that goes back and impacts A all the way throughout the alphabet in a circular motion, and how all of those things interconnect, and then my skill stack in the middle allowing me to kind of pick and choose whatever I want to do. Okay, so enough preface, let's dive straight into it. So first, we need to stack evergreen skills for profitability. So here's a graphic just to give a big picture overview of what we're going to talk about here. Top left, we have evergreen skills, which we'll dive into. And then once those are paired with personal interests, direct experience, and the internet, in the middle, you culminate and create you, which becomes irreplaceable. So if you follow anyone on social media, really, they're going to tell you to learn a specific skill or start a specific business model, like an agency doing Facebook ads. And this isn't bad advice, but I want to take a different approach because I'm all about understanding, right? I want this to actually make sense to you guys. So let's zoom out and go meta. So the skills for profitability, you will be exchanging value for value, and value comes in the forms of money, time, social leverage, information, or expertise. It's not just money. You have to trade the resources that you have right now, whether it be skill, expertise, information that other people don't have, social leverage if you have a lot of followers on one platform in exchange for helping someone on another platform. And then you eventually can trade your way to money, and then you can start trading money to buy back other resources like time. So you will be exchanging this value with other humans. This is transactional. And at the top of everything, when interacting with other humans, human nature and psychology reign supreme. So we need three things. The first is a valuable message, a way to communicate with others that is relevant, understandable, or actionable. The second thing is a medium for distribution, a way of putting your valuable message in front of people, or else nobody sees your value. Number three is a results-oriented skill, which is a way for delivering a transformation to the people you have attracted with number 1 and 2. Message, medium, and applicability. These are skills that interact with one another. Without one, you aren't going to get the same results. This is why it usually takes 6+ months to actually see some tangible progress in this domain, because you can't just learn a skill and not put it in front of someone, or have a skill, put it in front of someone and not be able to get results, and then expect to make that into a sustainable business. All right, so we're going to start with the message. You need to learn how to create a compelling message that attracts other people to not only you, but the value that you have to offer. And you need to be able to articulate the value of both just the ideas that you're selling. You are selling ideas through content and just anything that you do. Whenever you interact with another person, you are selling something. You are selling your worldview, your beliefs, whatever it may be. And what a lot of creators tend to glance over is that people can become interested in anything. Like a lot of people come to me and they say, I don't know if I should start writing about this weird interest because nobody would be interested in it. And it's like, that's not their fault for a lack of understanding of the interest. That's your fault for not being able to make it interesting. Because if you're interested in that weird topic, how did you become interested in it? You weren't just born with that interest. There was a gradual steps that opened your mind and made you aware of that interest and its importance to you. Why is it important in your life, and how can you pass on that importance to someone else to get them interested in it, right? It's not a one and done. I post one tweet and then, or one Instagram post and then, oh, everyone knows what my interest is. No, it's a game. It's a 10-year-long game of introducing people and educating people on these interests. You are becoming the person that introduces people to these interests and makes it an important part of their life, because it's given you many benefits by incorporating it into your life. So how are you going to help other people do that? So if your words aren't resonating with other people, it's not them, it's you. And so you are either speaking from an advanced level when 95% of the market are beginners. You don't understand persuasion, so you have to answer or imply an answer to the question, what's in it for me? Or you didn't capture their attention and deliver a valuable message to that attention. And so for the last point, value does not always mean actionable. Value can be as simple as entertainment, right? People like entertainment. Netflix has a lot of value to a specific set of people because it gives them an escape from reality. And of course, there's different interpretations and perspectives around that, but you get the point. And with that, entertaining doesn't necessarily mean humorous or mind-numbing. I can include a quote or interesting fact to keep your guys' attention on this video because it's entertaining and it introduces you to something new. It gives you a novel idea. So there are 2 skills that you need to study in order to learn to craft a impactful message, and that is marketing, which is creating a message that is attention grabbing, relevant, and valuable for a specific person. So from their perspective. The second thing is sales, which is a process for making people aware of their problems and presenting a solution to those problems. Notice how you don't just target people that are automatically aware of everything you do. It's a process. And sales can be synonymous with storytelling because the human mind makes sense of the world via stories. It strings things together from past to now to future and how it interacts with your situation in life. And so they both sales, marketing, and story, they're all based around transformations. That's what people want. They want a desirable outcome in the future. They want to avoid where they were in the past, and maybe they want to get out of the position that they're in right now. They want to improve. And so for the sake of brevity in this video, I can't go into every single skill. I just can't teach that. I've went into many in the previous one-person business videos, but if you want the systems for actually learning every skill we're going to talk about here and then applying it in the real world by starting a one-person business and productizing yourself, check out Digital Economics, links in the description. So the next thing is the medium. We just talked about the message. Now you need a medium for distribution because in life, discipline equals freedom. Shout out Jocko. But in business, distribution equals freedom. So with an internet business, distribution comes from media and code, right? The back end of the internet is code, and then the front end, what we see, is media. So coding is a great high value skill to learn. It's very important, especially when paired with marketing know-how. Like if you can create a software and you actually know how to market it, which most startup people don't, then you're way ahead of the game, right? I know there's so many people that are passionate about coding that create this app or startup, and then they try to launch it and they don't have an audience, they don't have distribution, they don't have anything backing them like investors, and which would take over from the audience. But I'm creating a SaaS right now, a note-taking software, and with my marketing know-how and my distribution and knowing you guys and what will truly benefit your lives, I'm going to have a more successful launch than any other tech founder could, simply because they don't understand marketing and they haven't built distribution. Because most coders only know the technical side, they don't know the human side. But many of you are going down the creative route, so we're not going to be talking about coding here, we're going to be talking about media. So you will have to still have some technical know-how. You will have to study no-code tools that fit your situation well. I'm talking website builders, course dashboards, membership dashboards, email marketing software, just social media in general, maybe like Discord. You have to understand technology to an extent, at least how to use it. So you build distribution by growing on top of funnel social media platforms. And we talk about distribution and leverage in the one-person business roadmap video. And these platforms can be any of them, but I recommend starting with either Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram. I would argue that Twitter is the most friendly and not easiest, but simplest to grow on because the retweet button is very low friction. You don't have to take any pictures. You don't have to understand design. All you need to do is write and practice writing a persuasive message. Check out To a Writer if you want to learn how to do that. And so YouTube, podcasts, and blogs are great, but when you zoom out, as we always do here, and see it from the bigger picture compared to other platforms, it's a lot more difficult to grow on those platforms. YouTube, you have to get a lot of things right. It could be expensive to actually like have some form of a nice setup, which does influence your amount of subscribers. Podcasts are just hard to grow in general. Blogs, they depend on SEO, so does YouTube. And I like these, but I treat them more as authority building platforms at the start, where you're fleshing out your ideas, you're going long form, you're getting practice in. And then once you have the distribution on bigger platforms and you can fuel something like YouTube, like if I were to bring my Twitter followers over to YouTube over time and my videos start getting better and better and better and it starts picking up in the algorithm, then those start to grow later down the road. That's exactly what I did. It's not the only way, but it's an effective method that I found to work for me. And so the principles for growth on these platforms are all the same. You need a valuable message. You need eyeballs on that message so people follow you. If you're not getting eyes on your content, people aren't going to follow you. You do this by getting shares, retweets, whatever it may be, networking, replying to bigger accounts, or just learning certain tactics in order to do that. The next thing is consistent effort on getting your content shared and a brand that looks like it should have 1 million followers. I could give like a lot of branding advice, but the thing that I feel like would be best is, does your profile look like it deserves 1 million followers? If it doesn't, figure out what's causing that and fix it. Could be your banner, it could be your bio, the wording in the bio, it could be how your profile picture looks. If your profile picture sucks, then watch some YouTube videos on how to take a good profile picture with your phone with good lighting, have someone else do it, make it a project, have fun with it, spend a day creating the best profile picture you can. So we're talking about building on social media, right, as our medium for distribution, but you have to understand that the medium for distributing your message comes before the social media platform. The social media platform is just a vessel, a modality for that. And so writing and speaking are the mediums for distributing your message, or at least articulating your message and packaging it up. So all of my social media growth and just content in general is based around writing. It doesn't matter if I have a nice design on Instagram or cool animated reels. It's a written script that I read into this. This YouTube video is a written newsletter beforehand, and then I go off the cusp on the camera, but I follow it along, so I have that persuasive structure. And of course, all of my other content, you can just look and see it's all written. Because, man, this skill is so important, and it's hard to articulate why. A story is that someone told me, or someone asked a question like, is it easier to go from Twitter to Instagram rather than Instagram to Twitter? And so I thought about that, and it's like, yeah, it would, because a lot of people from Instagram usually bank on some form of vanity or design or something like that, right? Something good looking. Like, let's take a fitness influencer, for example. They grow and their value is determined by their body or a fancy car or something like that. And that's awesome. But then when you try and go to Twitter or any other platform that is writing based or that isn't visual based, it's going to be 10 times harder to grow, because you're starting over from scratch in terms of the skills that will get you growth and be able to deliver a valuable message regardless of external looks. And if you combine both, like if you're hot and you have like this incredible skill stack, you're set for life. So we talked about the message, the medium, and now you need a results-oriented skill. So we now understand that we need a valuable message paired with a medium for distribution, and that's all you need, because those are valuable skills in themselves, and you can create an offer. Like, you can be a sales closer for someone, you can help people with their marketing, you can be a content writer, you can become a YouTube video editor, but even then, like, with that example, you understand the need for a results-oriented skill. So by this, I mean things like email marketing, sales closing, as we said, graphic design, videography, animation, web design. In short, you need to understand how to apply the medium and the message to the digital landscape. So to your own business, like your own personal brand or someone else's business with technology. And so when you understand how these pieces work together, you can deliver specific results through that technology. You can write emails that pull in more customers. You can create graphics that pull in more followers. You can create videos that hold more attention. So you unlock a new level of power when you pair marketing, sales, and communication with a specific technology that can be leveraged for what everyone wants: money, followers, reputation, opportunity, freedom, and status as a whole. Okay, so we're partially done. Those were the evergreen skills for profitability, and now we need to stack personal interest for individuality. And remember, this is a very long video, but this is the meta approach. This is like 5 to 10 year time span approach. Start with what we talked about, but don't hold what we're going to talk about in the top of your head so that you can like become aware of them as you're experiencing life. So in these videos, I talk about turning yourself into the niche with a personal brand, but this can also apply when you're trying to sell to a different customer avatar, business, or just person in general. So with a personal brand, your interests are what makes you unique. And with the creator economy booming, people think, oh, it's going to be saturated. And no, it's not going to be saturated if you lean into the interests that make you you, right? Because everyone can learn these skills. Everyone can start talking about, oh, learn these high value skills in order to make money online. But few people are able to synthesize these with their true interests. The people that can actually do this are the ones that stand out. And so here's another way of thinking about it, is that when I have an offer, a product or service to sell, my interests help me niche down who I can sell it to, right? Because I am my own niche and my interests help shape that. So if I'm interested in fitness, let's say my main topic or skill that I plan to sell something around is marketing and sales, right? But if I'm interested in fitness and I incorporate some of my fitness interests, not only does that separate me from all of the marketing and sales people, but it also attracts other people that are interested in fitness. And since I am interested in the fitness scene, I know a lot about my customer avatar or my potential customers. I know a lot about myself because I have that interest. So if I wanted to niche down to, let's say, fitness coaches and help them with their marketing, then I could do so much better. And they're getting into my audience without being sold to, because they want to follow people that are talking about fitness so they can network with bigger players in the creator economy. And you have to think about it this way, is that most people, they want to go like where the richest people are. They want to work with people that they despise. Like I hated working for small business owners. I did not like working for small business owners. So if I want to target fitness coaches and I'm attracting them through my interest of fitness, I would much rather prefer working with someone who has that like-minded interest as me. And so it's a win-win, because whether I'm like specifically targeting fitness coaches or not, I'm still attracting people that have similar interests to me, and then I can introduce them to something like marketing and sales, and then that rounds out my brand even more, because I'm helping the fitness people learn something new while also keeping the people that are interested in marketing and sales interested in me, because I'm teaching them something new about fitness, or I'm introducing them to another one of my interests and not just talking about marketing and sales all the time. And so you see how that works, but a lot of people are afraid of incorporating more interests into their brand. They'll ask things like, what if it doesn't get good engagement? And so it's good that you're answering questions, but do your own Q&A. Think these through and try to answer the questions yourself. If it doesn't get good engagement, it's not because your audience just doesn't like something like fitness. It's because you didn't make it interesting enough to them. You didn't start broad and beginner level and introduce them to the importance of that topic before you start diving into some advanced stuff that nobody cares about. And yes, going broad and beginner will still attract advanced people. Let's say your target audience is someone more advanced, your offer is more advanced, and you have to educate them to get to that point. Advanced people still follow beginner level advice. If you talk about the fundamentals, the advanced people know how important those are. That, like, I would consider myself advanced in the fitness scene, and all the people that I follow, they're talking about the fundamentals of diet. They're reminding me of what I need to know. Most people don't need something new. They need to be reminded of what works. So another question is, what if I don't make any sales? Again, we need to zoom out and view this from a big picture. You're not going to be hard promoting in every single post. And so on a 5-year time scale, right? Expand the time horizon. On a 5-year time scale, if 20%, like maximum, if 20% of your posts are nothing to do with the thing that you sell, but 80% are, do you really think that's going to make like a big difference in how many sales you make? Like, will it really impact overall revenue if, one, you're not hard promoting every single day, two, 20% of your content on the parts where you aren't hard promoting? Like, answer the question yourself here. You're thinking too small. So another question is, what if my interest has nothing to do with the thing that makes me money? Get creative. Use it as a way to help people understand. I'm interested in EDM, electronic dance music, and so I notice patterns between that and, let's say, online business or creator economy, and I like to make the link between how EDM producers or DJs, how they kind of synthesize song or synths or sounds into songs, how creators, they synthesize ideas and quotes and other things, and just in general, into content. And so it just makes it more challenging, which is good and rewarding, to try to note the patterns between the things that don't really go together, or so you think. Everything is connected. All right, so that was stacking personal interest. So we had stacking evergreen skills, and then that was stacking personal interest. And so now we need to stack experience for nuance and navigation. Nothing happens, then everything happens. When you are on the path of mastery for life, not in one skill, but in one domain, aka your life and what you're interested in, you will experience this lesson of nothing happens, then everything happens multiple times. So from the book Mastery by George Leonard, mastery is the mysterious process during which what is at first difficult becomes progressively easier and more pleasurable through practice. So this is the opposite of instant gratification, and it's why it's so difficult to internalize or understand without action, is because everyone wants to understand immediately. Instant gratification goes far beyond just like wanting, having like a material desire for something. It's everything. It's the need for immediate understanding. It's the need for immediately fixing like an emotional problem that you're going through. It's everything. People just want everything right now, and you can't have it. You have an entire life ahead of you. Calm down. And so with this, I'm not going to give you exact steps that you can take here to baby you along the way and stroke your mental thing. I am, however, and have given you the meta skills to start researching for yourself, right? You're going to have to follow the curiosity that you have after going through this, like, oh, what's the fundamentals of marketing sales? Go look it up. And so in terms of experience, your job is to hold what I just told you about nothing happens, then everything happens, and what I'm about to tell you in your mind as you go along this journey, because it will help. So by sticking things out, you will experience short bursts of intense progress. Lean into those and enjoy them. So the two skills that will help you implement everything above that we just talked about is rapid learning and rapid execution. And so when those are combined, we can consider them rapid building. I made an entire video on this. It's called Learn New Skills Fast, How I Remember Everything I Learned. One of the less popular videos. That sucks. I encourage you to watch it because it's extremely important. But in short, here's what you do. Choose a project to emulate. This should incorporate the skills you are trying to learn. Start building your own version. Create an outline for your project and build until you hit a wall. Seek specific knowledge. When you hit a wall, learn the skills necessary for that specific real-world situation. This helps you cut through the fluff that can be learned through experience. And a bonus, teach along the way. Teaching will identify your knowledge gaps, meaning you can seek more specific knowledge. So my favorite way of integrating everything we've talked about and starting to practice all of these skills immediately is by starting a one-person business, a personal brand. Why? Because it's a business, right? Like a lot of people that start freelancing or something like that, they're like, oh, I want to practice SEO, so I'm going to try and land a client relating to SEO. When it's like, you could just start your own website for your own business about what you're building and what you're doing in life. Watch the other videos about your goal in life and how you're going to get there, and practice SEO that way on your own blog. Practice design by creating your own profile banner in your profile picture. Practice persuasion by writing content. Practice distribution by getting eyes on your profile and learning the tactics relating to that, and supplementing all of this with the educational resources necessary, like a course, a YouTube video, or something along those lines. So you can also write copy for your sales page or your promotions. You can create your own minimum viable offer and start to market that, or you can affiliate for a product and practice your marketing skills on that. And so the skill stack that you develop by building your own personal brand for a year can transition over into almost any online business. And with your marketing knowledge, you'll already know what to do. You'll just be like, I'm going to create this offer and I'm going to sell it to this guy. And I have so much leverage already with my personal brand. I have X amount of followers, which is more than the average person. So when I DM them, they're going to be much more likely to DM me. And you're just making it so much easier on yourself by building a personal brand. I wish I did this. I really do. That's why I talk about it so much now. And yes, I sell courses and stuff relating to this because I genuinely believe in them and how this has changed my life. I've straight up switched all of the courses that I offer because of this new thing that I learned, and I feel like I have to spread it to you guys. So that was rapid learning and rapid execution for your bursts of building when you feel the urge to go all in on this stuff, when you have the clarity and education necessary to actually get started. The next thing is you have to tend to your perspective throughout the entirety of online business. 1% of 50 years is 6 months, and 6 months is just the start of the beginning. If you're on the path of mastery, you're on it for life. I mentioned earlier that shiny object syndrome isn't a bad thing, but the bad shiny object syndrome is the thing that takes you off the path of mastery. So learning a new skill that complements your other ones and allows you to push to new levels in business isn't a bad thing, right? You're allowed to both learn web design and copywriting, and so on and so forth until you have a big picture understanding of the online business domain as a whole. Your skills compound and no one can take them away from you. Self-education is, or investing in your own education is usually never a waste. It's only a waste if you aren't building something along the way, because you won't remember anything. You'll have nothing to show for it in terms of both knowledge and just real world tangibility. So when a shiny object or distraction registers in your awareness and you allow your focus to narrow in on it, you close your mind to the depth of your craft. And the distractions are just that. They're a temporary bump in the path. Because once you've started down the path of mastery, you can't go away from it, because the only reason you start on the path of mastery is because you got that missing piece in your mind that finally made it click for you and made you realize that it was possible, and that you can see through all of your excuses for not making whatever it is that you want to make work. And so once you see that, there's no going back. It's always going to pop into your head when you're sitting there doing nothing and you're thinking, man, I know you're not going to say this directly. It sounds kind of weird, but you're going to say, I know my potential. Why am I wasting it right now? Again, the most important pattern here is nothing happens and then everything happens. So you have to zoom out. You have to see your work from the perspective of your life's work. That 50 years, right? That time horizon, 6 months is 1% of 50 years. Because mastery is a cyclical, it happens, it repeats a cyclical process of slow or no progress followed by intense bursts of progress. In business, this first exponential leap to kind of the next step, it usually happens after 6 months. That's a pattern that I've noticed in many people starting business, is that if you can stick it out and stay consistent for 6 months, around that 6 months mark, you're going to have that leap and you're going to know, okay, this is possible. And that's usually when most people commit for life. Some still fall off, of course. But then after this, like a few months after this, it's followed by massive resistance. Like you're going to feel like you aren't making any progress or as much progress as you should be. This is normal. So you have to zoom out. You have to gain a big picture understanding, view the world from a better perspective, and notice that months of potential despair are just a part of the journey. Nobody said that they weren't supposed to be there. Nobody said that you're supposed to feel good or bad. Nobody said it's going to be easy or hard. Those are expectations that you hold in your mind. See beyond them. So the next thing and last thing is gradual awareness of the domain. Because when you learn one skill, a field of awareness opens around it, right? So let's start to paint a picture here as best we can. But let's say this is the skill you learn, and the domain around it is like a light in a dark room, like a candle in a dark room. And so you're using that skill to navigate, and it allows you to become aware of other skills and opportunities that you can learn or take on. And so then when you learn that, then a field of awareness opens around that. So now you have 2 and they're connected, but then you get 3 and you get 4 and then you full circle. And now you have awareness of this much larger domain that you can act within and solve problems within by connecting your skills. And so this field of awareness that you create by mastering, or not necessarily mastering, but understanding one skill and then the next and then the next and then the next and then the next, and your personal interests and your experience in life and all of these different things, you're expanding your field of awareness, and that is where you can solve creative problems. That is where you're going to make money. So commit to the path. Stack evergreen skills for profitability, which is the medium, message, and results-oriented skills. Stack personal interests for individuality, and then stack experience for nuance and navigation of the domain. Give yourself 20 years, not 2 weeks, ending it here. I appreciate you watching. If you want to productize yourself, check out Digital Economics. If you want to learn persuasive writing in a practical setting, aka starting a personal brand on social media, check out 2 Hour Writer. If you want a community of like-minded individuals for all things fitness, business, self-development, a little bit of spirituality and philosophy, an entire strategy library for everything that we always talk about in these videos. Check out Modern Mastery. First month is $5. Other free stuff like 7-Day to Genius Creative Ideas Challenge, which is my note-taking system and how I ideate my content. And then there's the Power Planner, which helps bring order to your life. And yeah, just check them all out and enjoy the rest of your day.